There we go. Welcome to Teacher Teaching Teachers. It's the
13th.
95. I know. I was counting us. Yeah, it is. It is August 13th. So we met last week with Chris Sloan's colleagues, Brian and Brian, and Sam's here too. Cool. And after that meeting, I was thinking that we might have an annotation coach. So I created an annotation coach. So I thought we could show that to you, and you could give some feedback on it. So a coach that would actually support some annotating. And I looked up, and I'll show you that in a second. And so we can play with that. A few weeks back, I created a James Moffat simulator. We can and that deals with. I think you would use it looking at some composition that we're writing. Somebody is writing, and then this week I created a Peter Elvis simulator also. So just to mess around with those ideas is what I'm proposing here.
Yeah, and a little bit of background too. So all the seniors at my school for their summer reading read Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass. So that's what we met with Paul and David about, was just kind of thinking about how to annotate. And we all have, different purposes for our reading. So that was kind of fun to talk about.
And Sam Reed, do you want to say hello? We were chatting right before you got here, but yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Good to be here. I saw Paul always has the little teasers that make us come out to the sessions. So I was like, I'm going to be having a student teacher this year, and I want to see how we can leverage. And I'm really like leaning into the whole coach ethos myself. As an educator, and so I'm looking forward to like having someone co-teaching with me, kind of being a co-coach, and I want to even like line up students to be like assistant coaches. So I'm really into this coaching thing, and then using AI to like help the coaches do the coaching is, I think, like could be really powerful. So I'm kind of just here to learn and observe.
Sam, do you want to just be a guinea, be a I don't know what to call it. Do you want to go through the process and build one? And
yeah,
whether or not we get to the stuff on the table is less important, almost. I think.
Yeah, we could try.
Yeah, does that sound okay, folks? Want to try that?
Yeah, as long as like a mercenary, I am looking for stuff because we started school. So as long as we kind of touch on the annotation stuff, that would be great.
No, okay. Yeah, no, lead with his stuff, and then we come back to that.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. Jacobs, where have you been? Nice to see you. His icon there is what his art looks like, by the way. It's pretty wonderful. Hey, Jake.
Hey.
Good to see you. Welcome.
No, I haven't.
Cool. All right. So let me dive in then. Pete, there is a framework that we're going to look at the annotating coach. All right. I'm going to try to share my screen. And I need to be better at presenting, but we'll get here, right?
Can we just click the coach, Paul, and follow along?
You can look at it, yeah. I was gonna, and you'd have to log in. I did pull up. Sorry, I'm gonna get there. Not that. This. Do you see the 4A's media protocol here?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So this is what I based it upon, right? And then I'll show you a little bit more. This comes from National School Reform faculty. Lots of people use this notion when they have students annotate. So I thought to go with this to think about the assumptions behind the text, whether you agree with what you argue with, and what you aspire to. So Chris Sloan, I should ask you, if you brought this to your colleagues and thought about it yourself, would this be a reasonable sort of protocol to ask kids to do? Is one
for the narrative of the life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just thinking of a 12th grader approaching this, trying to figure out what Frederick Douglass's assumptions are. I mean, he's pretty clear, I think, about his assumptions. And then I think that what I agree with, I have a feeling, they'll probably agree with his point because he argues it really well. And what do I want to argue with? I think the last point is like, maybe, what do you want to aspire to would be a question that the students would have.
So again, this is just here as an example, and if you and the Bryans, your colleagues, want to think about something else, that's you can do that. Okay.
No, I like it. I just don't know. I have to think about how that might work with this text because, it's a bit touchy of a topic, and like for them to argue, they need to have a lot of knowledge, and Douglas makes a pretty airtight case.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, yeah. So let's look at this together.
Okay.
Sorry to have so many things open, but I will get there again. So let me show you this.
Sam, I think there's a radio on in your.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's hard to hear. Sorry.
But Paul, just quick on the aspire thing, if I'm understanding correctly. The reason that I think all of our teachers are reading it, they've got different purposes for their different classes. But one of the things is like, we're reading about change makers. And so the aspire question might be something that they could latch onto, is what I was trying to get to.
Okay. No, yeah, that sounds like a good point. And I'm bringing up chapter 11, right? Which you did some annotating in already.
I did, yeah. So I used the background knowledge teammate because I think that my students are not really knowledgeable about 1850s America. And so I just put in something like, I think I asked about the Underground Railroad, like I'm pretending to be a 12th grade student. And I was like, tell me more about that. And I think it did a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just trying to anticipate how my students might use the background knowledge teammate for a text that's, pretty old for them, for sure.
Right.
And I thought it did a pretty good job.
And I tested the improv teammate to give some ideas. So, and then started messing with the annotating coach, right?
Okay.
Just to get some idea of what we're doing here.
Can you talk a little bit about, because I have not read what the output was for the annotating coach?
Yeah, I'm trying to, here it is. I'm now showing the annotating coach, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. So let me just show you this, what I did here, briefly, right? So, I tell the AI that we're a reading group, sort of putting it in that context. We're reading this together. Here are the four things, the things that we mentioned earlier. The assumptions: agree, argue, and aspire to. And then it goes through and does some description of what this person might be like, who's giving this advice. It goes through some other things. And then in the repository, I put the National school reform faculty's document here. So it refers to that document as it's annotated, as it's giving feedback.
So this is kind of new. Before I would be copying and pasting that text into the prompt.
That's right. So you can go to choose file right here. And this is sort of what we want to show you. You can go to choose file and you can upload a PDF, or you can upload a Word document also. It turns it into a PDF. And then that PDF can be pinged by the prompt. Somewhere in here, I think I say, hey, go check out the PDF and see what's there.
Okay.
Right?
Paul,
So yeah, yes.
Paul,
Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question, Paul, about this?
I mean,
Yeah,
sounds-
that's what we're here for.
It's been tested much enough to know, but when we're putting in reference files, and I was messing around with my casual and constructive conversations partner this afternoon and adding Ken McCrory interviews, for example, and I was trying to figure out the extent to which the writing partner was going to digest that as prior knowledge before it kind of goes out to work with the text, or whether it was going to be sort of iteratively every time it's responding, going to these references, digesting it, and then including it. Do you have any instinct for that, or any experience in terms of how that works? Or
because of how we've set it up, and we can think about this differently. It's not like a RAG situation
Right.
where tools pick. It is actually just using it as a database each time, right?
Okay.
Which might get a little. Anyway, who knows what it does with speed, but it seemed to me that the specificity of some of this work fit better than trying to put up, make vectors out of these things. So the short answer is yes. It's each time it's taking the text I'm talking about, it's taking the prompt or question I'm asking, right? And then it's taking the script that we've written and it's sifting all that through the PDF that's up here, right?
I see.
And it's coming back with an answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it, I think.
And there are limits to how much it can take. Like you can't put a whole book up. I've tried. So is there any other questions about how we've set this up? Or is that good enough?
That makes sense. And I'll go back to, originally I was like, what would my students say about the assumptions? I mean, the assumption is, I think, Fred Douglass is writing for a pretty sympathetic audience, would be an assumption that the text has. So I'd be interested if my students picked up on that, I guess.
Yeah, let me find, there was something interesting here, Chris, around all that. And let me just find it again. Here it is. Okay.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry. I wanted to ask a question about context at your space. How many teachers are using writing partners, and what's been the tension around people that are like the Luddites that just want to use paper and that kind of thing? I'm just because I'm feeling some tension coming on at my school.
Yeah. So we're just doing writing partners with our seniors, and we're a small school, so it's like 170 students. And what I'm telling them and my students is that what I like about writing partners is there is that thing that says, like, I don't want to use AI. So there is that kind of built into it that I think makes it different. And so I am going to give them the choice of, like, you don't have to use AI. And I'm curious about why people choose or choose not to use it. That's part of my inquiry, I guess. But that's what I'm framing it as, is like, you do have the option to use it. Whereas, like most teachers that I know, when they're like, use AI, they're like, go to ChatGPT and do this thing. So there's no choice. If you go to ChatGPT, you're using it. And so that's how I pitched it to my administration too. That was one of the affordances of writing partners.
That's good to know. That gives me a strategy, because actually at our PD, we're having PD this week, and tomorrow they're going to be talking about annotations. And again, I know that there's tension around, a lot of folks. I mean, we got a sizable amount of we're a small school as well, but we got a sizable amount of folks that are Luddites, and they just don't like AI. They just have some issues with AI in general.
Yeah, so that's my pitch, is that we're using this for our writing platform. So that's where they're going to put, their college essay, but that's going to be saved as private because those things can be private. But I'm saying this is our writing platform. You can use AI or not. And let's talk about why you're using it, and then the people who use it, let's talk about what happened.
But in this Douglas case, the annotations are leading to the writing, but sometimes teachers want kids. Sometimes teachers and administrators just want kids annotating to build up that reading muscle kind of thing. Because we got a lot of students that are emerging writers and readers. So having it the ability to say, hey, we can use it or not use it. I think that could be a good thing.
Yeah, and I think my colleagues are saying, like, first, you don't use it. Just try to do the human first, and then if you want to, see what the AI can do. It's kind of how we're approaching this text.
Okay, cool. No, that's good to know. That's really, really good for teachers like myself. And thanks.
That's great dialogue. Thanks. I'm up in Otis, Massachusetts, and at an Airbnb, and like last year, the people who own this building, this house I live in this month, he teaches at the Harvard Business School, and I had dinner with him last night and asked him how he was handling AI and so forth, and he said, well, he's doing the opposite of the Luddites. He is requiring AI for every assignment, and then his students have to do it better than the AI did it. So they have to turn in their AI result. They also have to turn in their prompt, which he evaluates, and then they have to turn in their writing, which is better than the AI's writing. So for every assignment, that's how he's handling it. So I just thought I'd put that out there for the Luddites also.
Yeah, I guess, Paul, what I was thinking is there's going to be 3 groups in my class when they write their own stuff. The first group is going to be, go ahead and just use AI. Boom. Here's the prompt, pump it in, and then critique the output. Second group is like, do your draft first, then do AI, compare it, and then the third group was going to be, if you choose, like, don't use it at all, but use more human peer review stuff. So that's kind of how I was doing it, but I like the idea of outperforming the AI. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, he argues, and you can think of that this way, or he argues with them that they if they can only do as good as the AI, they won't get a job. If they can do better than AI, they'll get the job, right?
Yeah,
so
good.
it's an interesting argument to make, right? But let's look at what this does. And there is a shift that I want to see if we can make clear. Thank you.
Looks like Jake has a question, Paul.
Oh, Jake, go for it. What? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just a little curious, for those of you that have been doing this for multiple years, maybe, and the guy that's just doing this on the regular, how much instruction in using the AI is present, or do you just rely on whatever the kids come in knowing on their own terms? And is there any parents that are against this, that want to opt out?
I wish Bonnie was here. she might have a lot to say, but it's I think it's a combination of all of those things that you said.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but and I think of all of us, Bonnie's not here, but I think she has the most experience, particularly around the pushback. Yeah, and she's not here, so I don't want to speak for her. But
Jake, how are you handling any of that? Or are you?
Yeah, well, we're having a cell phone ban in New York,
Right.
so that's that means they're not going to be phones, but there could be laptops. And last school year, the DOE banned ChatGPT, and I believe they unbanned it by the later in the year. But anything could happen, and there's a lot of voices on education Twitter in New York City that are dead set against it, especially on the middle school level. But
sorry, Jake, on the scaffolding, I had to do a lot of scaffolding and teaching students how to use the prompt, and to Chris's point, my approach when I first started was like having kids write their drafts out, you know, pen and paper, then inputting it into the AI, seeing the version, and then improving it based on the feedback that they had from the AI. And kids like that approach, but I had to show them and Bonnie really pushed the writing partners to even think about how do you maintain students' authenticity on their voices and things of that nature. But how do you push the AI to really represent your voice? Is something that you as a muscle that kids have to build. And Paul can speak to how we've tried to push the writing partners to kind of cater for that as well.
yeah, I mean, it sounds like the teachers might need some help, right?
Yeah.
This is a select group here, and I know Paul's on the case. I use plenty of AI in the real world, but teaching in school, and then it seems like you could really spend a lot of time going over what makes a good prompt and why results are the way they are. Um, so I was wondering if anyone was getting sidetracked with that, because I'm sure kids would, be willing to use it. They figure they're going to be using it their whole lives. But
Yeah. No, and Bonnie, she will emphasize to her students I'm teaching you prompt engineering, and I'm also teaching you a skill that's going to be useful, outside of the classroom. The 21st century get career work ready skill, and so she emphasized that a lot with her kids, and she didn't want partly was her mission. I don't want to leave these kids behind, because if we don't, then what's going to happen?
yeah. And there's also the new AFT thing, where I think 150,000 teachers are going to get trained on the deal that they made with OpenAI and big partners like Microsoft. So
Yeah. Yeah, Jake. I used to be in that union. We could teach there. We'll figure that out. So I'm serious about that. Maybe we can go to them and say, hey, we have some approaches that we think work. I want to, before I talk and we look more at the annotation coach, I want to kind of identify, because I think it's kind of important, that in none of these cases is the AI rewriting the kid's work, right? And we're using it in the context of reading. That's the first important context. And Chris, you use the background knowledge teammate almost as if it was AI was sitting here reading with you, right? And I did that also with the improv teammate. So the improv teammate, I'm just saying, hey, I'm not quite understanding. Maybe you can help me understand this better. So it's just there sort of encouraging me to keep reading, etc. With the annotating coach, and Sam, I wanted to ask how you guys are going to talk about anything, and if you've talked about the 4 A's as a possibility, right? But so this is doing something kind of totally different. It's saying, I can coach you in how to annotate the text, right? And Chris, are you still there? You are, right? I'm
I'm still here. Yes.
Can you read what it came up with here? I'll read. Can you see it well enough? Yeah. How do we get started in this chapter? I ask, and it answers. Yeah.
So you want me to do the annotating coach?
Yes, please.
Okay. We're ready to dig into this powerful chapter, and I always suggest we get started by taking it slow. Now is a good time to circle up and really listen to the words, feelings, and subtext here. To kick us off, let's use the 4A's protocol, which will help us reflect not just on what is said, but how and why it's said. So we go beyond summary into real dialogue and connection. The first A focuses on assumption. What does the author, Frederick Douglass, assume, even if we don't agree with him? What beliefs, stated or unstated, seem to underlie his choices in what and how to narrate events? So here's our guiding question to start this chapter. What assumptions does the author hold, regardless of whether you agree or not? I encourage you to find moments in Douglass's writing, maybe his reasons for not revealing his exact escape route or his opinion about the Underground Railroad, and reflect on deeper beliefs. What deeper beliefs or expectations lie under these choices? Why does Douglass assume it's necessary to keep slaveholders in the dark? Why does he think openness can be dangerous? Quoting specific lines can help you anchor your response. Now, after you reflect and write about the author's assumptions in your own words, save your reply below and hit your thoughts as your next step. Once you've written, saved, and reflected on assumptions, return to me and I'll walk you through the next question in the protocol. We're building understanding one question at a time. No rush, just real talk. So, Paul, I guess as a teacher, like we can ask these questions first, and students, like Sam said, with pen and paper, like they could try to answer that, themselves, and that should be a little exercise in class. And then turning to this as another perspective seems like a logical step.
Right. I mean,
Fred just joined us. We're
hi, Fred.
We're having my seniors at my school read the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass, and so we're just talking about perhaps leveraging AI as some thinking partners.
So as a reader myself, I didn't even notice some of the assumptions he's making about what he's telling and what he's not telling, right? So that felt like a useful thing to do. And then it goes on and it does. So I say one of the assumptions is he has to keep things secret, right? Like the Underground Railroad. So I'm having this dialogue, but it's also with the text. And I keep going and then it begins to say, okay, what do you agree with here? What do you want to argue with? And what do you want to aspire to? Now, it's probably too much, but maybe you can pick and choose, right? Any thoughts? Yes.
So, well, I'm going to be quiet in a second here, but, I originally, when we started, I said, I think his assumptions are really clear. I don't know what my students would write about. And so that's an example of me not really thinking too hard about a question and going to AI. Maybe that might be the process students would do. Is I don't know, I need to go check it out. So I think the step of them trying to answer that question, conversing with their peers, discussing as a class would be a great warm up to then this, which, so I could see that as a good step.
It does presume that you're going to introduce this protocol as a framework that's going to define what happens in seat time for the next 2 or 3 sessions, whatever it's going to be, right? So, that feels crucial. A related question, Paul.
Sure.
When you wrote up the writing partner, did you design it so that it would step a reader or a user, a learner, a writer through a process as though it's a teacher? I mean, the first paragraph that Chris just read basically could have been spoken by a teacher.
Yes.
Pencils
it acts as a teacher coach.
Yeah.
Mentor sitting there with a group of students who are reading the text together.
Right.
That's
And it was
yeah.
explicit, like use this protocol and sequence it out, or did it just work that out as a way to digest the protocol and a way to?
Yeah, it says go one at a time. You can also, I tested it. I don't know where. You can also say, you know what, I want to. There's something I really agree with here. I just want to get to the agreeing. You can just ask it to do that. It'll do that kind of quickly.
Sure.
Chris, and the Aspire one, I was kind of confused. Like, I don't know what Aspire means to, what that means here. So it does give some ideas for what you could aspire to in this paragraph, right?
Okay, that was kind of what I was saying, is if you read, there's a lot of ways you can read the narrative, but one way is like, here's someone who was faced with a daunting problem and, tried to change his world. And so that's kind of what I was thinking the Aspire kind of thought would be. Because we want, our students to do little changes to start with.
I think so. So enough on this, or further thoughts? Like, how useful, how do you, how does all this fit together? Which ones do you choose? That kind of thing. How do we introduce this even to your colleagues? Lots of questions there, Chris. So you should keep talking.
Well, I guess I would have them read they may already know the 4A's anyway, but I'd have them read that over, and then just like I talked about, I would say, here's how, one way you could do this is what I just described a while ago. Or not. I mean, they wouldn't have to use AI at all. Like, maybe their students would just figure it all out and get some really deep conversation going without it. But then it would be interesting to kind of just see what the AI would come with. That would be how I would explain it to my comrades.
Cool. Sam, let's sort of pull back for a second from this and see what we're thinking about. Fred, how are you? What are you up to? I'm saying hi.
Nothing. I'm sorry I was late. I just
That's okay.
I had something else I had to do. So
that's all good. It's
Fred,
nice to see
you're
you.
on top of Jake, and Jake is on top of Chris. So maybe
I'm working on it.
if you double click on a
The
chair,
arrow keys, or double click on a chair, you'll go to that chair. It's okay.
And oh,
There you go. Jake did it. You're good. Everyone's good now. So Sam, do you want to try to build one together? Should we try this? Whoops, you're muted.
I say let's talk it out first before we do anything.
Okay.
So tell me your construct of how you were seeing this.
Let's pose it like this. If you're going to have a student teacher, right? What is an issue in your classroom that you would want them to kind of focus on and be an extra support for you on?
So
we're gonna build one in AI like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, originally, so in the initial phase, it's like them being my assistant coach, and then eventually, by December, January, they've taken over and they're being the full coach. And
so what's the issue they're going to deal with?
The issue
I'm
is
pushing you a little bit.
No, this is good. The issue is supporting students that, particularly because we're going to be trying to do more like working at your own pace, but a lot of kids are going to need supports. So how can the assistant coach support a particular group of students, or maybe even like kids that are struggling more? So how can the student teacher or coach, assistant coach support the emerging readers and writers in our space.
Ah, that's okay.
Right, because I mean, I'm going to have 10th graders, right, and 9th graders.
Okay.
And you know, they're at, you know, multiple levels, and we have a lot of kids that are coming as struggling readers and writers, but the work is like super robust. But however, I really took this time this summer to like really focus on the. I did this modern classroom. I don't know if you got anybody familiar with the modern classroom methodology of like really getting real specific around what mastery task I want kids to do. And I think that's going to help in terms of at least like kids being more clear about what they have to do. And then of course they're going to, if they're struggling, if they're emerging readers and writers, like what additional supports do they need? So like the assistant coach will be able to like break out a group of kids where they're going to need more sentence starters. They're going to need more examples, more exemplars, you know, all of that. And
okay.
You know what, Paul? I'm really liking this. I'm sorry, I'm being meta. Because we do our coaching thing, and sometimes it's like the reverse now. So I'm feeling.
I know. It's okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. Right. So so is it okay if we just do readers and leave the writers off for now?
Okay. For now.
Okay. So this coach is going to be somebody who supports emerging, and I'm keeping both your words. Use emerging and struggling readers for now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Can you see what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first thing here is, who is this person?
Now you remember. I don't know if you've been. Well, Christina's been to some of my PDs, right? Where I bring students, and the thing they loved about working with AI is like it's like I had a mini read on my shoulder, right? And so this person is like a mini me, a mini teacher.
So is that what you want the student teacher to be like?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can feed it Sam's blog, because you know it's not just any teacher.
Okay, Sam, you got to describe yourself a little bit though. Be just like Sam Reed,
who like loves merging the intersection of like reading, writing, creating, making, hustling, like
what with the intersection?
The intersection of like reading, writing.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm keeping it more traditional reading, writing, and making sense. Those are like the ethos, right? And doing it in a innovative and doing it through innovative methods, and also leaning into like a coaching ethos.
I would say creative too, Sam. Like,
yeah,
you always have kids create things. And
yeah,
you yourself are a creator.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure.
It leans to a coaching what?
Ethos, like I'm really like, that's one thing this is a new persona that I'm taking on like more rigorously this year. Like students are going to call me coach.
Okay. Some of this could be broken out and defined more, like innovative coaching. You could say more, but let's move on. Why are you doing all this? What's your purpose?
Because, well, partly I'm one person in the classroom. The other purpose is that we also want to create.
I mean, by this I mean, why are you teaching the way you teach?
So I value discourse. I value making. I value belonging, and I value empathy, because I think this creates the kind of the world that that I seek out. This is so powerful. This is like Paul is becoming my coach now.
here's but I was thinking, Jake, you mentioned prompts. Probably this kind of language doesn't get into prompts a lot, but I think it's important. So I just want to kind of identify that. But okay, you're coaching your student teacher now. What specific processes do you want that student teacher to do with these emerging readers? You started saying sentence starters.
Sentence starters, modeling scaffolding,
what is scaffolding? Say more.
breaking down the task, even though I've tried to break them down like really concretely. Some kids need it broken down more, and they maybe need it broken down in a language that's more accessible, even though we try to make everything student facing and the like. But the other thing ultimately that I want to do is I want to also create, like, he's going to be my co-coach, but I want to create students that are going to be like assistant coaches, that where they don't have to get support from me. They'll be able to get support from their peers. And I want to kind of do like a rotation of like assistant coaches. And it just doesn't have to be like the smartest kid as well. It's just like sometimes I want to be able to rotate that. And even a kid that might struggle, they may have a particular like ability to like facilitate discourse, even though they may struggle with writing or whatever. I want to be able to like create like these assistant coaches and students helping each other, and not and then, also I want my co-coach to like help me build out these playbooks. Again, and I'm deep into the coaching metaphor, because that's what I'm leaning into. But like creating playbooks that are useful for kids to, again, be able to
Kind of self-direct.
yeah, because we're trying to create this, just this self-paced learning. And so while I may be having a mini lesson over here, some kids may be doing something else over here, and then we can have multiple stations, independent station, where the coach may need to just work with a player one-on-one, or he may need to work with a small group, or he may take a larger group. And eventually, like I say, by January, I want him to be able to like take over, and where the coach, goes on the bench and lets the assistant coach handle it, like in the summer leagues, when the coaches, the basketball coach, the assistant coaches do all the coaching.
I love some of that, and I didn't get it all. I do want to get to product. What will the AI spit out, or write to the student, or what?
No, this is writing to the student teacher.
Yeah. So guide the student teacher in what they will actually say or do, right? Do you want them to talk for a long time? Do you want them to just listen? Do you want them, what?
No,
they're helping emerging readers.
Yeah.
How specifically, what do they produce to do that?
That's a good question.
Offer fix-up strategies.
Yeah.
What the fix
Contextual.
up there?
Well, I mean, whether it's rereading, that's one, right?
Context clues.
Yeah.
Maybe, again, some kids are going to struggle with annotation, like
Key vocabulary, meaning.
and we do want to go big in like helping them with guided notes, guided note taking,
Uh-huh.
because in the way we're going to be structuring a lot of the modern day class is there's some videos that like instructional videos that I'll post, but they'll have to take notes, and I'll have like some guided notes that kids can do, but some kids are going to struggle with being able to do the guided notes, so they're going to need support. Again, sentence starters, scaffolding for guided notes, and then summarizing. They're going to need help with summarizing.
Now, does the student teacher summarize or what?
No, he's
for the
helping,
student?
he's supporting students to build up their summarizing skills.
So would that maybe be lead? I mean, don't you have to kind of like give this more direction? So like leading with possible key points from the text.
Mm-hmm.
But not all of them.
Right.
So maybe that's like a prompting student to find or identify key points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and then specifically now this is a school initiative, so I want to throw this in there. On the note-taking side, we're going to be using like the Cornell method, so supporting students with doing Cornell note-taking. And I'm just supporting this. It's a school initiative, so I got to throw that in there.
So can you say a little more about what that is specifically?
So basically, the Cornell method is like finding the keywords, summarizing, asking questions, but it's like it's a structured approach for note taking. That's all. Yeah, basically a structured approach for note taking.
Cornell method. I think the Cornell method. This is what you would put in the PDF, right? You would find a description of the Cornell method that your school is like putting out to people, and wanting teachers to use, and you would say in the prompt, "Hey, check the PDF out to support your work here," right? I'm going to actually just say that.
You might need to put the Cornell method for note taking, like specifically that phrase.
If somebody can find me something fast, that'd be cool. Let me see. Right.
Yeah, they just had a screenshot.
Note taking one word or two words. It doesn't want to take. Okay. Okay. Let's here's and we're doing lots of different levels of work here, right? Just to say, there is already several. There are the one I just showed you. So here's how I want to say it: your school is doing the Cornell method of note taking. They are not doing the 4 A's, right? I showed you that example of the 4 A's to kind of suggest one possibility,
and it might be appropriate at certain times because Cornell, it's not like you have to use Cornell for everybody. Again, it is a system. I guess it's like going to be a go-to system for students. Yeah.
So, sorry, there is a group of there are 2 or 3 vocabulary writing partners, and there's this one that we're creating. They're all in this group called the Reading for Understanding. So just so you know that. So as a teacher, you would kind of check those ones out too as you made this one. So we're gonna create this one though, and I'm gonna go and I'm working quickly here, but I want to go to.
I'm going to send it. I'm going to put a link in the chat for this, just so as a sample.
And we are going to go to this. Yeah, why not? Okay, sorry. I'll share our screen again here. Present window here. We're going to go to the very beginning of Henrietta Lacks, okay? We're going to test it a little bit. So we're going to just say SKI, looking for, what did we call it again? Supporting. Won't be hard to find. I got it here. Hold on. That word is used too often. Okay, but I will find it. It's in the reading group. And David and I are working on making this better. Okay, it's here. Support. So, by the way, the annotated coach is here. There's a growth mentor. There are, different ways to think about it, and we could think about all of this and whether it's useful. But we're going to use this one right now. We're going to say, "Hey, help me with this." Now, by the way, and as it's spinning, let me just say that we are on a staging site that we have for Now Comment and for Writing Partners. We have put up 5.0 and we're testing it there. There are some glitches for how we're using, anyway, some of the advanced properties that we have for the old model that we have to fix, but we'll be up to 5.0 pretty fast here as well. Okay, we're going to start this conversation. Sam, do you want to read it? Where is it?
It's kind of funny.
Is it? Okay, here we go.
Not in a bit. Like, all right, team, let's break down this paragraph together like we're prepping for a big game. We're going to use the Cornell method for note taking, just like drawing up a playbook. And here are the steps and strategies. Plus, you'll get to do your own summarizing. So, step 1, set up your Cornell note page. On the column, the left-hand column, write questions, big ideas, vocabulary you need to remember. On the right column, jot down details, facts, or main points from the paragraph. And at the bottom, you're going to put the main ideal or what's important in your summary. Now, if you're stuck, here's some sentence starters you can use. Who are the main people? Where did this take place? What stands out about the actions? What key details are you setting? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, it goes on and on and on. I mean, we did not do stuff in here that. Oh wait, what's the last thing say? Boom! You made meaning from the text. Yeah, great. So we did not do the thing where we go in and say, hey, only give me the first 2 paragraphs of the response.
Mm-hmm.
So it did the whole thing. So that's some of the.
But generally, other folks can tell. I think the tone is hitting like the ethos and tone that I want to like reflect.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be useful for the.
So you could adjust this to make it fit what you needed. Yeah.
But I'm curious how other people are responding to it.
Yeah.
But that was fun, Paul.
Glad you said that.
Well, I think it would be interesting to further develop it, Sam. Like
Uh-huh.
like to keep going either with as Paul as like a thinking partner to help you describe your teaching methods, But it's that like, what's your pedagogical theory, right? That you're trying to articulate here, and then and then make it enact that somehow.
Yeah, Paul, send me this link tomorrow. So
I'll make it yours. Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
and then
you
I
can play
can,
with it.
when we talk about what we talk about things that we're talking in our staff meeting. But it's so tricky when, like I say, some people are just they're against AI, man. It's
Yeah, I don't know. What I was interested in is how it picked up on the coaching and the playbook and all of that stuff, and it brought the Cornell thing together. So it's interesting that it had both of those. So anyway, and we did it in 15 minutes, right?
Yeah,
maybe 20.
One thing I'm really struck by, and I'm really puzzled about how to think about this, is that it quickly goes in, especially when there's a sequential framework. It quickly sort of it enacts a sequence, right? It tells you what to do in what order, and it becomes a pretty long prompt. And in some ways, that's kind of awesome because it's like a really it's like a spoken mentor. In others, it's not responding to the text. It's a difference between setting up instructions and responding to individual writing. And listening to you, Sam, talking about like working with coaches who are developing coaches, and the extent that you've got a guide on the side who can actually enact sequential steps so that students might get good at following them. It becomes a little rote, but maybe for steps like annotation, where you're extracting information and gathering sort of insight versus creating, there's a different rhythm. So I'm curious about the way that we can develop these writing partners and cue them to do different things, either to get really a lot of breadth to the framing and instruction, or a lot of targeted prompting and nudging. So it's interesting to see how quickly it just quickly rolls out an entire protocol, which is inspiring and perhaps a little overwhelming, but a really interesting function of the tool.
But putting yourself in the mind of a new teacher, who's learning, it could be super useful because they need those kind of like that. And so I think it would be useful. But then, like you say, how to vary it, and then how to have that specificity in the way we do the prompting. But like you say, in 15 minutes, it wasn't bad, and I think it was getting at the gist of what we were going for.
Well, can I just say my initial response is that it didn't do anything. It didn't, like, there was nothing that came up that we didn't actually tell it to put in, right? So it seems as though the more articulated and refined the persona and the series of strategies or whatever that you're going to use, probably the better the result will be, which, really forces you to get extremely concrete and to a degree like discrete. And I think
I don't know about better, but more predictable, I would say. Yeah. But yeah, maybe it's better. Yeah.
Well, I mean, on some level, I guess I would use better just because like it mirrors the kind of teaching that you are trying to amplify, right? And but I mean, and that works up to a point, especially for more rudimentary stuff. I think where it falls apart for me, I guess, is that there's not an organic response. So like when a kid kind of like uncovers something unexpected and it's not in the script, so that the possibility for improv, essentially, which as you become a veteran teacher, right? Like that's part of what makes you better at your craft, is that you have a greater capacity and breadth and depth for improv.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I wanted to mention, and it's kind of related. When I created the Peter Elbow simulator this week, I did collect from his still existing website a couple of his handouts about how to respond to writing. And at first it was doing that sort of, the AI was just kind of going through those and saying, you could do this and that. And then I read them a little more carefully and realized that at the beginning of that, it says, give me a cover letter first so I know how to talk to you, right? So I put that into the prompt, and that AI partner now, before it gives any feedback, says, hey, I need to know what you're thinking, right? Please write a cover letter. And then it goes through some ideas for how to write that cover letter before it gives any response. So just to say, there might be ways for us to engineer the kind of serendipity, or use a different word, that a teacher would have. Go ahead.
Paul, did the cover letter, did that self-generate, or was that in response?
I copied a paragraph from his handout that says, before you give any, it's advice to teachers. It says, before you give any feedback, ask the student to give you a cover letter to tell.
It was an elbow comment.
Right.
Sure.
So I just say, hey, follow your own advice here.
Yeah.
Right. And and
sure,
do that. So
I guess like the part of me that I mean, obviously we only did this in 15 minutes, and it's like a bit sort of slammed together, but I'm just not sure how it serves up anything beyond what it's told to serve up.
Right.
And so in that sense, even like, I don't know, by putting the cover letter in and then like, tell me how you want me to talk to you, I don't know, there's a part of me that just feels like it's a little Harry Potter mirror of Irized,
But when you do that, when you do give some process, then the AI does sift through some of the other response and so forth. So it does begin to talk to you. But yeah, okay. I don't know.
I obviously came in late too, so I didn't see quite the beginning.
You're landing on a big piece of this puzzle, Fred, which is, it's so good at mirroring things that we want to hear back to us, that how do you get the AI to sort of open doors, stand there and open a door, like pose a question, as opposed to give an instruction or create a leading step. You're raising a really good point. How do you create open-ended possibility and have the AI facilitate that, as opposed to simply being a kind of protocol cheerleader? Yeah.
Great questions.
That's a big,
I mean, I guess sometimes it's like, what are you trying to accomplish too, right? So like in some cases, you actually want someone who understands how to like walk through a protocol, right? Like there's just, and there might be situations when you want kids to be able to pick different protocols and see what they get, and then have them like iterate the ideas, right? So, and it's, being a person who reads a lot of protocols, having a dialogue with a protocol versus just following a sheet of paper. I don't know. So anyway, I'm just thinking about the like appropriate times, and then this other piece, like sometimes I wonder, like, how much do we want the AI to, like, once it starts, we want the kid to open the doors, right? We don't want the AI to be opening the doors. So like, where is the agency? I mean, I hear you, Fred, so I'm not like arguing at all.
No, I didn't take it as you were.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really good at sort of procedural, sorts of repetitive kinds of things. And for certain tasks, and particularly students that like might struggle with reading, right? Like there is like, I mean, what they need, like on some level, it's just not always fun, right? Is they need more reps and they need more practice at going through some of these procedural things that other students have already internalized and can do without like conscious thought. So they need that. And in some ways, right, I can see how this would be beneficial in the sense that it is a kind of interactive procedural coach.
Yeah.
You know, so that's not a, I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I just feel like you need to really tell it what you want it to do. It's not, I don't even know that it's, honestly, I'm not even sure that it's reasonable to think that it could do more than that. I don't know.
That's fair. I also want to add in Sam's context here, which is common, I think, of working with somebody who may not know those protocols, right?
Right.
And so bringing a student teacher on and saying, oh, the AI did that, I could do that, right? That's an interesting learning moment.
I mean, I could see this really doing, really helping you out, showing those kids how to do Cornell notes. I can see how that would be like bang in. It would do that great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're having this conversation about what tech always does. It always sort of leans way over into productivity, but procedural, you know, efficiency and clarity is really a sweet spot, no question.
We should finish for tonight. Thank you for the conversation and for the thinking through. We'll keep playing. Thanks.
Yeah, I forgot.
Thanks,
we have so much fun. We went overtime.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Good
All
night,
right,
y'all.
Good night, everyone.